Right, let's get going. So let's add an enemy. Right click into our hierarchy, sprites, square, bang. Look at that terrifying monster. He scares me. I'm going to turn him red. Well, now he's a bit too spooky, but it's fine. We'll make it work. So we're going to call it enemy. Now look at that. Whoa. What's that? That's terrifying. What we need to do to that enemy is we need to add a couple of things, okay? Because it's no good it being an enemy that can't really do anything. It's just for looks, you know. It needs a bit more like weight to it. Needs to be able to do stuff. So let's do rigid body 2D. As in everything else we're going to do in top down, we're going to put 0. That's just because we don't want it sliding off the screen. We're going to add something called box collider. So we've added a circle collider for the bullet. We're going to add a box collider now for our box, basically. So if you see up here, there's a little green line around it now. If I turn that off, it will disappear. But if I turn it back on and open it up, then you can see it, okay? So that's just a collider. So that means when our bullet hits it, it will do something. If I press play, what you'll see, if everything goes well, is we've just vanquished our enemy. And if you zoom out, you can see the enemy spinning out of control into until unknown territory, kind of lost in space. That's making me a bit motion sick. Right, press play again. We'll stop there. I'm going to double click my player just to get back into the scene view where I need. So we've got our enemy. Let's get to the meat of it. Let's get to the meat. Let's go to enemy. Let's type in enemy. We're going to add a script. Now, this is the script that we're going to be using for our enemy. No, that's not. That's the shooting one. Let me double click enemy again. This is the script we're going to be using for our enemy. Okay. So we're going to make a really simple enemy. So the idea of this top-down shooter is it's kind of like an alien zombie, like just people going chasing you, going bleh, and like not going really fast. Okay. So we're just going to add move speed, and we're going to add public transform. And we're going to add player. Okay. So we've got our move speed, just like our player, and we've also got a transform reference to our player, because our enemy will need to chase our player. The thing is, though, because we're spawning in the prefab of our enemy constantly, because we're going to keep spawning them in like a wave-based game and stuff like that, it'd be good if we can get the reference within script, because that means when it spawns in, it will get that reference, rather than just staying still and being like, where am I? What's my purpose? What should I do? You know? So we're going to do find game object with tag, and we're going to reference the tag player, and that's going to be capital P. We're going to do dot transform. So the player is going to be, we're going to find player object, we're going to get the transform of it. Okay? So if we go back to our scene, we might notice this if I press play, it gives me an error saying, we don't know where this player is. What are you talking about? So it's saying, nothing's filling that transform. But if we go to our player, give it the player tag, we Control S to save, and then press play again, we don't have an error. And that's because it's found it now, so it's worked. So all I'm going to do is just drag that script up so it's easier to see in editor on my enemy. And then I'm going to go back to my script and let's get this movement going. So surprisingly, it's quite easy to add enemy movement into this because it's just simple. We're just moving it. That's all we're doing. So let's do void update. We're going to do a vector 2 in our direction. So that's given, this is basically the setting for where we're actually going in life with this. Now, did I spell that right? No, I'm missing an I. See, bad at spelling, I tell you. We're going to do brackets open to start with. We're going to do a player dot position, and we're going to minus the transform dot position of our current object, so our enemy. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a thing called normalized. Normalized. So normalized just basically reads the vector 2 or 1. Okay, so instead of being like 0. Whatever, it's just going 2 or 1. Okay, and then we'll go semicolon close. So we've got our direction. Now, what we need to do is transform dot position. We need to equal vector 2 And we're going to do dot move towards, sorry. So vector 2 dot move towards. And we're going to brackets open, transform, dot position, little comma. We're going to do the player, dot position. And then we're going to do another comma, and that's move speed. And then we're going to times it by time, dot, delta, time. Very cool. It's looking nice. It's working the way we want. That's all that matters to me, as long as it works the way we want. So if I go in and I press play, as you see, it will not move. If I turn that move speed to 4 or 5, well, look, it's terrifying. It scared me. So what we need to do, outside of play, let's turn it to 3, because 3 is quite a safe speed, I think. And we press play, we've now got an enemy that chases us. However, when we hit it, it just flies off, which is not very good. Like, if we've got loads in the game, that's not very good. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make one other change to this. And we're going to add something called void on collision enter 2D. So that's basically saying whenever we are getting interacted with something, we're going to do something. So when something hits our collider on our box, we're going to do something. So we're going to do collision. So we're getting this reference up here. Dot game object dot tag equals, and we're going to call it bullet. Okay. And we'll do brackets open. And what we're going to do is we're just going to call destroy game object for now. There we go. If we go back into our game, and there's something key we need to fix. Now, if you're paying attention earlier, we had to fix it with the player, and we're going to have to do the same with the bullet. So we're going to click on our bullet down here, and now I'm going to double click it, open it in prefab. Up in the tag, we need to add the bullet tag. However, you'll see there's that bullet tag. So you press add tag. Now, we're going to write in, so it needs to be a capital B for bullet, and we're going to save it. And then if you click back onto your game object and then set it. So now we've got bullet, we've set it there and save that. Okay, so now we've got the tag of bullet. If we head back into the game, if I press play now, woo, we killed our first enemy, guys. We've done it. We've saved civilization. There's one other change I'd like to make to the script real quick, because we're going to have so many of these enemies spawning in our final version of our game. It only makes sense to add a bit of a protection for that. So I'm going to do if player does not equal null. So this bit of the script is basically saying if the player is not dead, we are going to copy and paste our movement and put that in there. Sorry, there we go. Grab it there, like that, and we can get rid of this one, because we don't need it anymore. So it's basically saying if our player isn't null, we're going to do something, okay? We're going to move. Now, I'm going to close this down, and we've got our enemy in. So we've got our enemy that we wanted. It's working perfectly. It's doing everything we want, okay? What we should do now is we're just going to make a prefab of it. And I'm just going to, for the sake of continuity, delete this prefab. And what we can do to test if our game's working, we can drag a couple in. So I'm going to drag in 4 and press play. As you can see, we're starting to get that kind of movement to it, okay? We're starting to get that loop of spawning enemies and killing them. But what we actually need to add is a proper spawner, okay? So we're going to do that in the next session, okay?